Hello, my name is Dylan Heuer. I'm camp director for Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf.
What is Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf?
Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf, IBCD, is a summer baseball camp that runs week long. It's a half-day camp every morning for those who are deaf and hard of hearing, those kids 7 through 14. Not only Iowans, although we attract mostly Iowans, it's for kids throughout the Midwest. It's for them to gain baseball skills, but also be able to have a lot of interaction and social time with deaf peers while they're learning to play baseball. So it's a mix of different things, but it's such an enjoyable week. It's a wonderful, supportive environment, and those kids oftentimes don't have the same opportunities to be involved in, the community little leagues or organized sports just because they don't have language access at those levels. So with Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf, we provide that. They have access to learn baseball, to learn those skills, and then also have a week-long social opportunity to meet and interact with kids who are similar to them. So it's just a really fun week for those kids who are deaf, hard of hearing, and have a lot of time to socialize and get to know one another.
How did Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf get started?
Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf got started its most recent iteration in 2015. When I was a kid, I went to a similar camp for deaf and hard of hearing kids. I was probably 9 and 10 years old when I attended that summer camp to learn some baseball skills. I became kind of aged out of the program, became a volunteer with that baseball camp. That camp was pretty small. It only had probably 5 to 10 kids every summer. I graduated high school, went to college. When I came back, that camp wasn't running anymore. And as I moved back to the central Iowa area, I saw that camp wasn't happening for kids who were like me. I noticed that kids who were deaf, hard of hearing often were left out of those summer opportunities that other kids had. So they kind of were lonely and isolated at home. And I thought, why not go ahead and make this happen again? Make it new, make it a little bit different, but the same idea to provide access for those kids and I was able to contact my the sponsor of the camp that I attended and asked if they would be able to help kind of with some seed money and invest in making this camp happen again. And that's when it got going.
What challenges did you face when organizing the first camp, and how did you overcome them?
Yes, there were some challenges and obstacles in getting the camp started again. Not as many as you might think, just because we based it on the model of the camp I attended as a child. So I felt like we already had the model and the concept kind of built. But the challenge for starting it was finding volunteers who met specific requirements. So we needed interpreters to be able to come in for access. We needed to recruit volunteers who knew how to work with kids who might have language differences. So our first year, I think we had 19 campers, and then the next year we grew to like 22, and now every year we have well above 25. I think we would have to max out at about 32 campers, and we get close to that.
What skills do students learn while attending the camp?
The skills that the campers learn the week of IBCD, they come and learn some baseball skills, how the game of baseball works, how to hit, how to pitch, how to run the bases, how to throw the ball. They learn how to work with teammates, so they learn teamwork. They learn how to interact with deaf peers. Sometimes the students come to us and they are the only deaf or hard of hearing student in their local school. So they come and they see 20, 30 other kids who are just like them and have a similar identity. And that helps them be able to build their identity, be able to build their language skills and feel more comfortable and allow them to become more of who they are without feeling like they struggle in accessing a world that doesn't have opportunities for them. They often feel in their own schools or situations they just don't have that access. But at camp, that's definitely not a worry. They can really come, show up, be who they are, and have interaction with other deaf peers.
How do you ensure communication accessibility at the camp for both participants and volunteers?
Yes, we definitely think that communication is key and very important. So we make sure that communication is facilitated and accessible. We do have volunteers who come whose primary language is ASL, and we have some volunteers who don't know much sign language, but are willing to work with the campers and work with them. We have a team of 5 to 7 ASL interpreters who also come and volunteer their skills every day. So if there's a coach who's not understanding a camper, that they can pull an ASL interpreter, or if there's somebody who is not able to sign but is willing to gesture and kind of figure it out, we find different ways. It can be a struggle at times, but that's a natural part of any communication situation. We've noticed there's sometimes struggles with it, but it never becomes a point of being frustrated. So we feel like we had a really good communication access for all people involved, for all participants, both campers all the way up to volunteers, coaches, etc.
How has Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf grown over the last 9 years?
Yeah, how the camp has grown in the last 10 years, well, close to 10 years. It started in 2015. The camp has grown, and we still have the same amount of campers every year. Like I said, we're getting close to 30, 27, 28, 30 every year. One thing I've noticed in how we've grown is we've grown in the number of sponsors, the community awareness. We found like the word's getting out and people know who we are and what we're doing. When we first started the camp in 2015, it took about 2 months to get kids aware of it and kids to sign up and register. So slowly those registration came in for those 19 kids. But today, like this year, when we announced registration, that same day we had 20 kids register. We fill up fast because the community knows about it.
Can you describe the partnership with the Iowa Cubs and how that collaboration began?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to partner with the Iowa Cubs. They've been one of our biggest sponsors for the camp. And your question in asking how that collaboration started was it used to be that some of the camp player, or some of the Iowa Cubs players, would come visit the camp and actually teach skills to our Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf students. So they would come with their PR person, and the PR person would be there. I built that connection with the PR person when I was 15. That person gave me a job to be a bat boy with the Iowa Cubs. So that was in 2005. It's been a while. I'm kind of old. I've shown my age. So I was able to build that relationship with the PR person and have a job with the Iowa Cubs. And then I've actually now been their team photographer as a freelance photographer for the last 10 years or so. So that has been the connection that got us collaboration with the Iowa Cubs.
How has the local community responded to the camp over the years?
Yeah, the local community response has been amazing. Many of the different deaf community members in the area are just so excited to see it happening. They're the ones that are telling all of their friends who have deaf and hard of hearing kids, telling them to come and participate in all the fun they'll have. We've gotten a lot of support even from professions that are kind of in the deaf community, so audiologists, teachers, speech language pathologists. And I would add that I should put in that this camp is free for kids to attend. They are not paying any cost out of pocket. And that's possible because of the generous donations and sponsorships we've had. Every year we get more and more donations. We always need more because every year we build and our camp is growing and taking more and more funds, which is a good problem to have. But we are dependent on donations to make this a resource that kids can attend free of charge and open to all deaf and hard of hearing kids who need that access. We want them to be able to come.
What are your goals for Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf in the years to come?
I think some of my goals I have for Iowa Baseball Camp for the Central Iowa area, I saw that camp. I guess I'm not sure. I feel like I take it one year at a time. I think right now one of my goals is to make sure the camp is sustainable and continues as long as it can. I want those campers to be able to have access that they need to be able to learn baseball and, more importantly, learn how to become comfortable with their identity as a deaf and hard of hearing child. I have learned that, how to be in my own skin and my own identity as a deaf person. I think when you go and you see people who are similar to you, and you see deaf adults, you see volunteers who are using sign language, you see that that's a thing that's a similarity between you all, I think you can really, that really shares and really has an impact on these students.
How can students get involved with Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf?
We would love for more students to come involved and become campers. We'd love for them to attend. When we have registration open, we ask kids to sign up, and that's kind of just the start. We have a form that they fill out, and then we're ready for them to come. It's really not complicated at all. If they want to learn more about camp, we appreciate other professionals like teachers, speech language pathologists, or even other deaf professionals and deaf community members getting the word out to them.
What impact have you seen on the students who attend as campers?
Yeah, I've definitely seen a huge impact and a wide range of different impacts on students who come as campers to IBCD. I think there's some who actually learn baseball skills and then go out and join their local little leagues or join local teams, and they're kids who've even joined college baseball teams, and I feel like probably got to start here. And there's some kids who never really build those baseball skills, and they're not that serious about actually learning the game, but it's more important that they become a member of the deaf community. Maybe before they didn't realize there were other kids like them who shared the same language, but to come and meet other deaf and hard of hearing friends, like that just becomes possible for them to be part of the deaf community at large.
This year, Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf had a special evening partnering with the Iowa Cubs for a Deaf Culture Night at the ballpark. Can you tell us how this event came to be and what it meant for the camp to come to this event together?
Yes, this year, for the first year in iCubs history, Iowa Cubs and IBCD partnered and really grew the Deaf Culture Night. We had our first Deaf Culture Night at the Iowa Cubs. That meant on the field, they had Iowa Cubs players who were wearing ASL jerseys, similar to the one I'm wearing today. And it matched the jerseys that IBCD campers wore for the week. So the kids saw that they were honoring and celebrating deaf culture that night, wearing the same jerseys as they were, representing their language, and it was such a fun night. We had so many different members of the deaf community from all over the state of Iowa made the time to come watch the game, to interact with the campers, to see each other, and have a special night to celebrate deaf culture. It was so fun. And then during the game, the iCubs even hosted a silent auction where people could bid and win the jerseys that the players were wearing. A lot of them signed the back of the jerseys, and then the proceeds from that silent auction, Iowa Cubs donated back to IBCD to keep us running. It was just such a special moment. It was really, really neat because the campers who went to the game stood on the field before the game and as a group signed the national anthem, and they were able to do things like do the first pitch. Some of them were able to run like the hot dog guns. A couple of them participated in between inning games or the outside games. So it was just a really special moment and really neat to see the impact. I think when all the students were signing, while the campers were signing the national anthem that night, when they signed the whole seventh inning stretch, taking out to the ball game, they stood there and signed it and had the whole auditorium or the whole field watching them and had the whole deaf audience behind them signing with them. It was just a really impactful moment.
How can people seeing this interview, whether it's on social media, volunteering, etc., support Iowa Baseball Camp for the Deaf?
Yeah, the best way for interested people to volunteer for the camp, we have a lot of opportunities. I think we would love for anybody to get out there and spread the word for us. If you know of any deaf, hard of hearing child who's age 7 through 14, anywhere, they don't even have to be necessarily in Iowa, tell them to come join us next year at camp. We love for people to get out the word and share the word. And then also donations. Like I said, we need money to be able to run and keep this camp free. So we have various ways of donating. It could be a small donation or a large one. We're a 501c3, a nonprofit organization, so any donation is tax deductible, which is a nice benefit. So I would say those are the two best ways to sponsor us, through financial donations to help us keep running, and then also just spread the word. We have so many different amazing volunteers, people that want to come every year and volunteer. Sometimes we have to even limit how many extra people we have volunteer just because it's that popular, which is a good problem to have. I love the passion people have in wanting to volunteer their time and resources, but there's such a variety of different ways to help.